Today we're going to look at the different transformations of sinusoids. Okay, there's going to be four main ones that we're going to focus on. The first one being vertical translation. So from our previous work on transformations, we should know that the graph of y equals sine theta plus 2 can be drawn by taking the graph of y equals sine theta and moving every point up 2 units. Okay, so this graph, or this equation here, y equals sine theta minus 1.5, would mean shifting every point down 1.5 units. So again, it's the movement vertically. So this would be your Q value or the D value. You really want to make sure that you pay attention to the scale. These grids are a little bit different scale-wise than the ones that I was working on yesterday. So make sure you are familiar with what you're using. Okay. All right. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to graph y equals sine theta, and we're going to graph it in blue. Now, yesterday I mentioned there were 5 main points to building this graph. So you start at 0, 0 for sine theta. It has a high point at 90. It goes back to the axis of the curve at 180. Has a low point at 270, and it finishes on the axis of the curve again at 360. Now you can mimic that over here as well. If this is going up, then this means the wave goes down at this point. So you've got a low at negative 90 at the axis of the curve at negative 180, high point at negative 270, and back to 0 at 360. Okay, so I've got my graph built in, and I put the axis of the curve in there. Again, if you wanted to be picky about it, the equation of the axis of the curve is going to be y equals 0. Okay, because again, it's the equation of the horizontal line. All horizontal lines start with y. All right, so we want to graph this. Y equals sine theta plus 2. Okay, so the 2 is your D value from all of your transformations, which is your vertical translation. So it means you're moving everything up 2 full units. So start with the original point at 0, 0 and move it up 2 units. So there's 1 unit, 2 units. Notice that 2 squares equals 1 unit. So make sure you're moving everything up 4 squares. Okay, so count that out and you should be good. And also do the same on this side and then draw it in. Okay, so there's the wave. You can see that I that I put in the axis of the curve. Since it has moved up, the middle of the wave is at 2. So the equation of this line is y equals 2. All right. This one, y equals sine theta minus 1.5. Again, everything is moving down this time 1.5 units. So it's the blue graph that we're transforming. So this point moves to 1.5. Okay, so 3 squares down. So you can count 3 squares down from every point here. And you will come up with the 4 points needed for your graph. Just make that look like a point. All right, so I'm going to do that over on this side, draw it in, and put in the equation of the axis of the curve. All right, so there's your graph, and again, the equation of the axis of the curve here should be y equals negative 1.5. Now, hopefully, you're seeing that whatever the D value is in the equation is actually pinpointing where the axis of the curve is going to go. So that's a good thing to remember. Okay. Again, you want to make sure that you're actually practicing these, because if you don't spend the time and learn how all of these waves are set up, then you're going to be somewhat lost a little later. So I'm hoping you have figured out how to get some graph paper, or at least can print off the lessons.